Hey, what's up? It's Chris Young. What do you say we take a few minutes? Let's chat about how to use some of the features on your new Keystone Hideout 27RLS. So let's start right up front with when you set up for the camp or when you're getting ready to tow, the powered tongue jack right up front. Very nice feature to have. You'll notice that you have two sets of rocker switches. One is for your LED light, which helps you with a little bit of safety and security at night. The other is the rocker switch that moves the unit up and down. Now, this is a powered tongue jack, but if you ever need to do the manual work, you'll notice that inside the pass-through storage or under the master bed, you'll find a tool that looks like this. Remove the rubber stopper. It is attached by a wire there so you don't lose it. This goes right on top of the gear, and then you can just hand crank it to go up or down as needed. Now, right behind, you'll see that we have a plastic cover for our 20-pound LP tanks. Now, if you have gas inside the tanks, you'll see that over here underneath the regulator, you might not be able to see it here, Bobby, but there is a little panel that if you have gas, it'll go from red to green. It'll just let you know which gas you have. This indicator switch lets you know which tank you're going to be using. This for this tank, over here for this tank, or if you want to evenly distribute the gas, keep it in the middle, and that'll pull from both tanks. Just make sure that the tanks are open. And hopefully if you have propane, everything will start flowing. Another good feature for these covers, if you'll notice, we have these stoppers right here. This is the access panel for the top of the tanks. When the plastic cover is on, try to have these pointing towards the coach because air can come in while you're going down the road and pop that up, and that's not something that you really want to lose. You'll notice that the pass-through storage compartments, you have the doors here with the covered hinges and the plastic clips to help keep everything in place. And all of your hideouts come standard with the Furion side vision, which means it's set up for if you want to get 360 views while traveling down the road. Our service folks can install that for you. But you'll also notice that the pass-through storage in these are closed off to the master. But a lot of them do have the laundry chute access, but this kind of keeps the critters from coming in and out. Underneath, we have our Lippert PSX1 powered stabilizer jacks. Now, these are not leveling jacks. These are just stabilizer jacks. So if you're going to be on an uneven surface, make sure to get some pads so that you can be level. When you want to extend them, just push the rocker switch. You'll notice that the legs don't come down together. That's fine. Once one comes down, the other one will. And when they come down, you just want to make sure that you don't push them too hard, or else, you know, well, that pad right there, well, let's check it a little bit so we get the pad level. There you go. Extend it down, and then when one's down, the other one will come down, and you do have this for both front and back. But once it's down, you don't want to push it too far because, once again, that's not for leveling. Some units will have both the solid steps and the fold-out steps. To do these, just be careful. Use both hands, pull the bottom, and then flip the bottom step down and then pull out. With your water heater, you do have a Suburban water heater, and access to these is pretty simple. You have this little latch right here, it's on the suspension, so just pull it so that it matches the lip, drop it down. Some of them will come off, but this is your hot water heater. You'll notice you have your electric power switch right here. Right now we're on the on position. This is gas electric. Some of them only have the gas option. Some of the bigger ones like the tandem axles will have the gas and electric. Over here is your propane igniter, your anode rod, and if you ever need to replace this, just make sure that you check the pressure valve, which is right up here. So if you have additional water in there, pull that, it'll release the pressure. If you need to reset, you got your double reset right there. Now, the Keystone Hideouts do come standard with the Carefree Compass powered awnings. These are 12-volt awnings. And you'll notice the manual drive for these it's not really easy to get to. You actually have to take the faceplate off, disconnect a couple of wires, and hook that up to a 10-volt power source to be able to run the awning out. I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're extremely comfortable with wiring, but that is your powered awning. It does have adjustable pitch, and you'll see you have the release levers right here. You just push that to move them to the desired area that you want. Just be careful when pulling it down because it is pretty high up. You want to make sure to use both hands and get a steps ladder if you can. There's your wheels. Those Dexter Easy Lube axles. You got your external power, which is a GFCI outlet, and you're set up with cable. This is your cable connection for your TV right here, the back of your Suburban heater. The solid steps, when leading into the entry point, these are a great feature because they are additionally safe. Just make sure when you're putting them back in, you have the door completely open. You'll notice here on the bottom, you see how they have these pull tabs right here? If you need to adjust the legs, just push the tab up. They are sometimes a little bit ornery. You can pull them out, that'll allow you to adjust the legs. A good rule of thumb when getting your legs level, go ahead and drop them so that the legs come all the way down, then find the safest spot and push the pin through. And when you want to store your steps, you do have this lever right here, which pulls in the latches, it goes over the frame, release it, and now you're secure. When you're ready to deploy, just pull them down, and there you go. Rear stabilizer jacks right back here. Same operational function as the front, extend and retract. You do have your 4x4 sewer hose storage there and your spare tire. You'll notice that we are set up for backup camera. It's already pre-wired. Let our service folks help you with that one. With your 50 amp power, this is your cord. Just make sure, number one, that it's in securely and latched all the way when you set up. Some of them will have the indicator light. If you get power, the light will be on. If not, just check the circuit breaker box at your power source right here and make sure that the breakers are on. If you're still not getting power, sorry about that, Bobby. If you're still not getting power, then chances are something might be wrong with the cord or the breaker box. These Trufit Slides are rack and pinion, but you'll notice they have multiple seals plus a bulb seal that really helps keep this not only intact, but to make sure you don't get any moisture or anything in there. But the operation for this is through the frame, and we'll show you the controls on the inside. Now, for your terminations, we suggest that when you hook up at the camp, try to go ahead and keep the tanks closed because you do want some water in there, especially in your black tanks. Gray handle is gray tank, black handle is black tank. And when you're dumping, dump the black first and then do the gray so that it washes out. City water connection, usually they're labeled. Black tank flush is also usually labeled. Just make sure that when you do the black tank flush, you'll see termination valve is in the open position, which means you've pulled it out. Because if you try to flush the black tank while it's closed, guess where that water's gonna go? Nowhere you want it. External shower with hot and cold right here. City water, or excuse me, freshwater fill right here. You'll notice that you can just put your water hose in there, but it does have a pressure valve right there so that if you do, as you put the water in, it pulls the air out. If it gets too over full, the water will start spouting out over there. Last but not least, here on the outside, you'll notice that in your pass-through storage or under the bed, you'll have a tool like this. This is your manual override for your Lippert jacks. Over here on the off-camp side, the handle access is where it's at, and all you do is just stick it in there, and then you can retract or extend as needed. Pretty easy, but does require some elbow grease. So there we go. There's some of the features and how to use them on the outside of your Keystone Hideout. What do you say we go take a look at what's on the inside? So inside your Keystone Hideout, probably the first thing when you set up, you want to look for your convenience center. This is your command panel. This is where you come to see how much your battery power is. If you see, we're full right here, and the volts are underneath, which is a very nice indicator. Now, to run the slides out, you're going to need at least 2/3 or more to be able to run the slides out. So if you go to push the slide out and nothing's running, then first thing you do, check the battery. Second thing you do is go check the power at the post to make sure you're plugged in, then look for the battery disconnect. But if it's full and running, you should be able to run the slides out, and when you get it all the way out, you'll hear a clicking sound because these slides are the rack and pinion through frame slides. So just be sure to listen for that. You can also check your fresh tanks, your black tanks, and your gray tanks. If you notice on your black tank, you hit this and the sensor, you know that it's nothing in there, but the sensor's at 1/3 or maybe even full. Chances are there might be something on the sensor or there's an issue, just flush it out or bring it in, let our service folks take care of it for you. You got your light controls right here, your awning controls, your slide controls. You'll notice up for in, down for out, up for retract, down for extend on the awning. So just watch for that. And your heaters on these, with the single axle hideouts, you're only gonna have the gas water heater, but on the doubles, you'll have the difference between the gas or the electric, and you'll also have the water pump. They do have the quick recovery on these, the bypass. So if you're hooked up to fresh water, or excuse me, if you're hooked up to city water, you don't need to run the water pump. Pretty much only run that when you're using your fresh water. In some of them, you will have these pull down shades, and you'll notice that these are on the suspension strings like we see right here. Over time, these strings will loosen, and a good way to get them tight is just take your finger, roll them back around the knob right here. Just make sure to do it on both sides, and that'll keep it tight and going as they go through time. Now, if you want to deploy your sleeper sofa, number one, take the pillows off. Be very careful because it is heavy. If you don't feel comfortable, have somebody help you do it. Pull the bottom out. You'll see you have the extendable legs right here. Extend those, set this down, and then the back portion just folds right down, and there's your two-sleeper bed, your sleeper sofa. You can put the cushions back as a headboard, or my kids even use them as a pillow. Over here on your entertainment center, you'll notice the Furion AM/FM command center right here. It is dual zone, so you can play the music inside and out. It's also near field and Bluetooth. It has HDMI connection and USB. This is nice because the HDMI is already pre-wired to the television. So if your kids bring along this Nintendo Switch, the PlayStations, whatever, all they gotta do is plug into there. Don't have to worry about fumbling with cables to get to the TV. You also have the electric fireplaces in some of these models. You'll notice that they have multiple flame settings, multiple light settings, all your controls right up here. And it's an electric blower, and you see how it changes the lights right there. And these are just little push buttons. That's the heater right there. Low, high, low to low. A timer if you want to cut it off, and then the power switch. These are great because it's roughly 5,000 BTUs of heat coming out of there. And at night, because you do have a furnace, plus you have an AC, this is great to kind of just knock that chill off the air. But if at any time you go to cut this on, you're not getting any power, you're not getting any heat, check your circuit breaker panel located right here. If you'll notice, all of these are also backlit. So if there's an error with any one of these breakers, it's going to be red. So if it's red, that means it needs to be swapped out. If you swap it out, you're still not getting power, check the junction box once again, check the battery disconnect, make sure you're getting shore power, and if it's still not working after checking all of that, you need to bring it in to one of our service techs to let them take a look at it. Same thing with your AC right here. Now, you're either going to have the Dometic or the Coleman AC inside your units, and it's going to be either the 13.5 or the 15K BTU. They're going to be ducted with the Blade air system that distributes the air a little bit more evenly, a little bit more efficiently, but they also come equipped with a quick cool dump, which is operated right there. And let me tell you, in summertime, this is a great thing to have because it dumps that air out. When you're ready to just get the rest of the coach, close it up, now we're going through the ducts. If your unit does have the Hideaway pantry storage, just give it a really good pull because as you'll see right here, it's a magnetic clasp, and this is a very strong magnetic connection. Put it back in place, and there you go, safe and secure. It's made strong so that when you're going down the road, it doesn't open up and flop around. Speaking of, check out our Norcold 10 cubic foot fridge freezer combo that you have right here. Now, this fridge freezer combo is 12 volt, and your power controls as well as your operational controls are up here. Here's your power. The plus and the minus gives you the temperature control. Right now, if you'll notice, the blue light indicates I'm using the freezer. That's what this means. If I want to go over to the fridge, I do that. Colder, less cold. That's how you control that. And this little moonlight right here is a night setting. So if you have people sleeping here in the living room and the compressor on this is running fairly loud, you can hit that. It'll reduce the power of the compressor by 50% for 8 hours. You should also have the Furion 17-inch oven and burner combo. These do run off of propane, and you notice you have your controls which correspond with the burners. Now, if we do not have the propane cut on this unit, but if you did, they also have little night lights right there. I really like those because that's a good night light. But if you wanted to light this, push the control pad in, and turn it to fire, you'll notice that you're getting power because it's red and it's ready to go. And then you turn the igniter. If you notice the arrows point in this direction, that's because that's the only direction you should turn it. So with this set on fire, we set this, you'll see the spark hopefully, and then you should have fire. Same thing for your oven. Push this in, turn it to the flame setting, turn the igniter, and your oven should cut on, and then you can control the heat from there. If you do not have the fire coming on, you don't see the blue flame or you don't smell anything, check your propane tanks, make sure the regulator's pointed in the right direction of the open tank or it's split, and that you have gas in your tanks. We got the blade system. We have porcelain bowls in all of the Keystone Hideouts here in the bathrooms, the high-rise porcelain bowls with the foot flush. Sometimes your tube in the back will have a control knob on it so that you can cut out leaks. It's not on all of them, but some of them do have it. And you'll notice inside these bowls, the foot flush activates a little flapper with a black seal. Now, if you ever notice that when the flapper is engaged, but the water is draining, what you can do is you can take a glove and then get some Vaseline or some grease, push the flapper down, put that Vaseline around the bottom of the rim, and there you go. That should keep the flapper engaged for you. Coming to the master, you do have underbed storage that is strut supported, and this is where a majority of your components will be kept. And sometimes you'll even have the little laundry chute like we have over here. But another great feature that I think you're going to like with your Keystone Hideout is the vacuum system. And I want to show that. I want to save that for last before we convert the bed down, because we got to convert the bed. Under your master bed, you'll see a hose like this and some attachments. That's because each Keystone Hideout comes with the convenient road vac system. And to operate, you'll notice that you have this little slide door right here. You just put your hose nozzle in there, make sure it's secure. Your toggle switch right here cuts it on, and now you can see that. And it also has a pressure release valve if you need it or if something gets stuck. And it comes with an extra long hose plus an extender, so if you want to do the floors, you can reach those corners. And then when it comes time to get the bag out and check the filter, you just push the tab right there, open it back up, and then close it back when you're ready to start using it again. That's your road vac system. And last but not least, if your unit does have the booth dinette, you'll see this table right here, which is attached, or excuse me, is not attached. I've found that the easiest way to do this, bring it out, flip it over on the top, and you see that little latch right here? Release that and push it. And now you can move this over to the latches right here. And this is the base for your extendable dinette, which also converts into a sleeper. And then when you're ready to bring this back up, I always like to put my foot on the back of it to give me some additional security. You'll hear it lock into place. And now you have a table that can be used here in the booth dinette, outside as a card table, however you want to use it. So those are some of the features of your wonderful new Keystone Hideout. As always, our service folks are here to help. So if you have any more questions or need anything, don't hesitate to bring it to us, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure your RV journey is the best that it can be.